Hi kids, my name is Molly.
And my name is Tilly.
I feel like we have a good story today. We've been hearing a lot of stories about battles being won and the Israelites destroying everyone.
Yeah, it's been really cool to hear how God helps us to fight our battles, and that we can be confident when God is on our side.
And guess what, Tilly?
What, Molly?
We defeated the Blue Monsters in our championship game last week.
Wow, Molly, that's awesome!
Yeah, and look at the gold medal we got. It's so shiny, I'm going to keep it somewhere safe where I can look at it and remember that God is the reason I can have confidence in everything I do.
That's really cool. I wish I had a medal I could keep to remind me to be confident. I have to write a story for school this week that I have to present to the whole class.
What? You don't need a gold medal, Tilly.
Well, how am I supposed to do good? I'm so nervous. Writing is not something I'm really good at.
I know someone who did not feel like they were qualified for their job either. Why don't we take a listen?
Israel did evil in God's sight. So God handed them over to the Midianites, and the Midianites destroyed the land of Israel and everything that they owned. The Israelites were getting pretty tired of this, so they asked God for help. Gideon was working away when an angel appeared out of nowhere. Gideon was so surprised. Can you put on your best surprise face?
The Lord is with you, O mighty man of valor. Whoa!
Gideon didn't know what to do or how to feel. But he thought, let's make this guy some food. So he went and he made some food for the angel. Why don't we all join him? Let's put on our imaginary chef's caps. Put on your chef cap. And grab your bowl and your mixing spoon and mix away. Wow, good job. Gideon took the food out to the angel, and the angel touched it. And when he did, it flew up into flames and disappeared.
Why are we suffering so much, angel? Why has God not come and saved us from the Midianites?
You are a strong and mighty man. You will go and save Israel from the hand of Midian.
What do you mean? How can I go and save Israel? My family is the smallest one and the weakest in all Israel, and I'm not the strongest one in my house. I'm sure my older brothers could do way better.
I will go with you. You will defeat the Midianites.
Then, later that night, the angel gave Gideon some instructions.
Take down the altars of the false gods.
And in the middle of the night, so that nobody could see him, Gideon took down the false gods.
God, if you're going to use me to save Israel, let this piece of wool be wet and the ground around it dry.
The next morning, Gideon found that the ground was dry and the wool was wet.
Okay, God, please don't get mad. But one more time, show me you will use me. Tomorrow morning, let the ground around the wool be wet and the wool dry.
And the next morning, Gideon found that the wool was dry and the ground was wet. So Gideon gathered his men together and headed off to camp near Midian, and they got ready to attack. While they were there, God spoke to Gideon.
Tell every man who is afraid to go home. Take the men to get a drink of water. Every man who drinks water like a dog are the ones who you will take with you to fight the Midianites.
So Gideon watched, and it was 300 men who drank water like a dog. That night, Gideon felt afraid.
Hey, if you're afraid, why don't you go down to the camp and listen to what they're up to?
So Gideon took down a few men to the Midianite camp and listened to what they had to say.
I had a dream last night. What about? I dreamt that a big piece of bread came and struck down our tents, and they were destroyed. You probably ate too much pizza last night. I don't know. Gideon's been putting on a good fight. What if he defeats us? I think God has given us over to Gideon. We won't win this one, boys.
Gideon suddenly felt courageous, so he went back to camp, gathered all 300 of his men, and got them to each have 1 jar and 1 trumpet.
On my signal, boys, smash the jars and blow your trumpets.
The men surrounded the Midianite camp, and they waited for Gideon's signal. When they finally saw the signal, they broke their jars open, and their lamps lit up. And then they blew their trumpets and cried,
"A sword for the Lord and for Gideon!"
Can you say that with me? A sword for the Lord and for Gideon. Midian flew into a chaos. They got so confused, they started fighting with each other. They fled away from the camp, and the Israelites chased them down and defeated them.
Gideon was obedient to God's voice. He was not so sure if God would really use him to fight such a big group of people, but God not only used Gideon, but he used a few men to do it. God makes all things possible, and with him, Gideon and his men were able to confidently go and do what God called him to do.
Wow, I love Gideon's story. I just wish that God was going to write my story for me.
Well, Molly, you just have to be obedient and ask God to help you write your story. He will be with you as you write it, and he will go with you when you have to present it. You do not need to be the best at anything for God to use you.
God will never leave me, and he always goes with me. I can trust him no matter what, and I can be confident because he's God.
Exactly.
Well, I will do my best and leave the rest to God. I won't be afraid to write my story or to present it. I will trust that God is with me and be confident in that.
I'm proud of you, Tilly. Let's go and see our memory verse for today. I remain confident of this. I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Psalm 27:13. Confidence is learning to see yourself the way God sees you. Today, remember, you can trust God no matter what. Have a great week, kids. See you next time. Bye.